When I was 17, I joined a wilderness retreat my school had organized. We stayed in this massive wooden lodge with too many rooms for the number of kids there. The place was rustic but charming. Creaky floors, drafty windows, and the faint smell of pine smoke clinging to the walls. On the first night while unpacking, one of the older kids mentioned something that immediately caught my attention. He said, "Don't go near the cabin in the woods." I thought he was joking, but he wasn't smiling. He explained that deep in the forest, just beyond the creek, there was an abandoned cabin everyone called the Forgotten Cabin. No counselor ever talked about it, but the kids passed the story down every year. Rumor had it that decades ago, a camp staff member went missing there, and no one ever found him. I didn't believe it, at least not until I saw it with my own eyes. On the second day, I wandered too far while hiking. Through the trees, I noticed a structure slouched under the weight of years. The roof sagged, the door was cracked, and the windows looked like hollow eye sockets. Even in daylight, it gave me chills. That night, curiosity got the better of me. While everyone else was roasting marshmallows by the fire, I grabbed a flashlight and slipped into the woods. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became. The crickets stopped. The air felt heavy. Finally, I reached the cabin. I pushed the door, and it screeched open. Inside was worse than I imagined. Dust-covered furniture, broken bottles, and deep scratches carved into the wooden walls, like someone had clawed their way out. My flashlight beam caught something in the corner, an old rocking chair. It swayed once, then stopped. I froze. The air turned icy, my breath visible. Then came the footsteps, slow, heavy, above me. But the cabin had no second floor. I gripped my flashlight tighter, telling myself it was just my imagination. Then the chair rocked again, harder this time. That was enough for me. I bolted out of that cabin and didn't stop running until I burst back into the clearing near our lodge. No one believed me when I told them, but every night for the rest of the retreat, I heard faint creaking noises drifting from the woods, like that same rocking chair, swaying back and forth in the dark. I always thought summer camp was supposed to be fun. Swimming in the lake, roasting marshmallows, staying up late with friends. But one year, something happened that made me never want to go back. Our cabin was old, tucked a little farther into the woods than the others. It had 6 bunks, thin mattresses, and one tiny window that looked out onto the tree line. At night, it always felt like something was watching us from out there. On the third night, after everyone else had fallen asleep, I woke up to a scratching sound outside the window. At first, I thought it was just raccoons, but the scratching grew louder, more deliberate, like claws dragging across the wood. I sat up in my bunk and froze when I noticed the shadow. Something tall was standing just beyond the glass. Its shape was wrong, too thin, too long, like its arms nearly reached the ground. It didn't move for a long time, just stood there, swaying slightly, as if it was listening to our breathing inside the cabin. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I just pulled the blanket over my head and waited. After what felt like forever, the scratching stopped. The next morning, I thought maybe it had been a dream, until one of the counselors yelled for us to come outside. All along the side of our cabin were deep, ragged claw marks carved into the wood, higher than any of us could reach. That night, none of us slept. Around 2 a.m., the noises came back. This time, it wasn't scratching. It was footsteps. Slow, heavy, circling the cabin. Then, something pressed hard against the thin wooden walls, making the boards creak inward. Everyone was awake by then, whispering, shaking, too afraid to move. Then the footsteps stopped, right outside the door. We all stared at it, holding our breath. The handle rattled once, twice. Then it slowly turned. But just as the door began to creak open, one of the counselors came running with a lantern. Whatever was out there vanished into the trees without a sound. The next day, our cabin was moved into the main lodge. They told us it was for safety, but none of the adults would explain. All I know is, every night I spent at that camp afterward, I could hear something faint in the woods, scratching, circling, waiting. I haven't gone back since.